Hello and happy 420. And I got your message. All right, here we go. Well, thank you for checking this out. I've been reading from my book, which was published the day before Trump got sick with COVID, probably on September 29th, 2020. It's called Sex, a Metaphor to History, Trump 777 and 1,000 Years of Woman. And we're on chapter 3. So I see the thing is on 0, so I'm just going to wait and let things transpire here. Not sure what's transpiring. All right. All right. Looks like we're good. Okay. A little hit. All right. Chapter 3. In 1998, which is 3 times 666, the world was hit with a blast from a neutron star for an unprecedented 5 minutes, knocking out satellites and earthbound instrumentations. Precisely 5 years to the day before planet Mars would come closest to the Earth ever, on August 27th, 2003. 2 years and 2 days later, on August 29th, 2005, after the Martian close encounter, Katrina storms into New Orleans, destroying the illusion that America is beautiful. While the world watched, the poor population of the city left abandoned, huddled in a stadium, or shot for looting. America, the only superpower left standing, showed herself to be an immoral country run by autocrats for the money. While starving looters were being shot, the government was looting the treasury of the nation for a war which could never be won, but would make the wealthy far wealthier. Bush in Hebrew means embarrassment. 2,000 years ago, the Medrash predicted the last king of Rome would be called Erom, naked, because of the embarrassment he would bring to his people by robbing the treasury for the sake of his religion. The Pope celebrated this time by going to Israel in 1999, starting the Second Intifada uprising by demanding a Palestinian state. At the same time as the Earth was being blasted by a neutron star in 1998, 3 times 666, Bill Gates added a senior to his name so it would equal 666 in ASCII script in 1998. Rome was exploding with arrogance, with a number directly depicting sex. Bill Clinton received a blowjob in the Oval Office of the White House in 1998 from a Jewish intern on her knees, as the Talmud reminds us. When Jews go down, Rome goes up. This arrogant act, because the Oval Office belongs to all American citizens, influenced the creator to speak to the world through a series of names, revealing a new take on history. Because God wants to be known and low, and there is nothing lower than sex, as exclaimed by Martin Luther, the pioneer of Lutheranism, some centuries ago, we are born between shit and piss. Wherever we go, God goes with us, wanting to be known and low. The free love of the 60s came from the young people saying they could no longer wait to marry to have sex because the atomic bomb was threatening to eliminate life. Rome exploited love for unrestrained sex. After the culmination of the 2,000 years of Rome, the mantle was passed to George Bush and Dick Cheney, who counseled with their advisors Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice, nicknamed Cunty. These four, Bush, Dick, Colin, and Cunty, fucked up the world and after one term ran against John Kerry. The word Kerry in Hebrew means a wet dream. Bush and Dick won and continued their nefarious deeds for another 4 years before being replaced by President Obama. Nonetheless, John Boehner, whose name is John Boehner, whose name is properly pronounced Boner, was left as the Speaker of the House, sticking it to the president until eventually he got small and slipped away. President Obama's 8 years ended with Weiner spilling the beans on Comey. The election of Donald Trump was the ejaculate with his ejaculatory personality is the obvious fulfillment of male determination posed to enact the orgasmic outcome upon the waiting world. But in the end, he proved himself to be no more than a weak premature ejaculation, just another thief and illegitimate leader. God speaks to the world in the language of the world, but no one seems to be listening or watching. The world has yet to learn how to connect the dots because we are constantly being fed disinformation. The last 100 years, from 5666 to 1906 to 2006, 5766, constituted the end of warfare. Though war continues, the calamity of the storm named Katrina, Keter crown, denoted by chaos, followed by the economic collapse, was blowback from God. After the initial fall of Rome from the 9/11 attacks directly after achieving 2,000 years was a sign. I watched the towers fall over and over, but only saw the fall of Rome. However, Rome refused to go quietly into the night while they still held the lever of power. By 2012, the 26,000 year Mayan calendar ended as we traversed the galactic horizon facing the center of the galaxy. The world cried out for peace. In terms of giving birth, the galactic horizon is dilation. Rome is the quintessential male prowess whose sun is quickly setting while a new man arises. Dogma can no longer stem the tide of truth, coming like a tsunami. The religious believe Trump was sent by God has come true, but not in the manner in which religion has expected. Trump is the 777, good in casinos, but not in life. A calendar without an ending point is a depressing reality tortured by the steady incremental pace into atrophy. A calendar with a precise beginning and end generally is tied to some natural phenomenon. The 5,000 year Mayan calendar follows the path around the North Star. The 6,000 year calendar adapted by the Jewish people focuses around the week, the month, and the year, combining both the sun and the moon. The Mayan calendar begins 666 years into the Hebrew calendar and ends at dilation, announcing that time has come for birth. Nothing can determine the precise moment of birth because the process is mainly controlled by the stars in conjunction with Mother Earth, who is also giving birth to a new era. The Earth is cracking open, ice caps melt, falling into the sea, to later be vomited up as storms inundating dry land where half of America is on fire while the other half is underwater. Earthly birth is breaking the chains of servitude from masterminds trying to hold back the force of nature as Mother Earth reaves in her birth pangs. In the 6,000 year calendar, the year 2012 was 5,772. 72 is the highest number, referring to the human being with the gematria of chesed, kindness. World birth is happening. The last generation of Rome has arisen proclaiming there is nothing spiritual in religion. Also, science, the other Roman bastion, is propagating with their Big Bang theory, where creation comes out of nothing, but eventually, after 13 billion light years of time, turns into something. Life on planet Earth, replete with a perfect eclipse of the sun by the moon, as if to say this perfect geometric happening was prearranged by the Creator. War, religion, politics, and money are all male endeavors devouring the earth on the precipice of extinction. Caught between religion and science, the human being has been easily manipulated, made to crave worthless things, satisfying their imposed addiction, spurning them to buy more and more until life is cluttered with useless objects, blocking the spiritual light from entering into the human experience. While the world's attention has been diverted by pictures from space and upheavals on the earth, the real story dances right before our eyes, but who is watching? The culmination of 6,000 years is happening day by day, hour by hour, yet the news is full of politics and entertainment. According to our galactic schedule, the end of the 6,000 year male agenda, a quasi birth sexual affair, has come to conclusion. The time is spiraling in, going faster and faster towards the fulcrum where birth and orgasm will happen together. Logic and proper decorum is expendable during birth and sex. Now is the time for action. As the leading consumer in the world, America will never go back to her gluttonous ways and addictive behavior. Instead, she will adapt to what is needed and change according to the situation. The East is more adaptable than the West, obviously from their oral language, which stretches the vowel to achieve a new meaning. Whereas in the West, changes in the consonants determine the meaning of the word. Human beings are similar to one another, but none are the same. Languages also are different in our ability to articulate thoughts into words. Similarly, continents and countries are different and diverse from each other. The Earth, with her 7 continents and 3 oceans, is configured in the form of the tree of life, like the human body made of 3 triangles and the power of speech. For the body to function in a productive, coordinated manner, melding all aspects of God into one, diversity is necessary. The earth is a body created for pleasure, since pleasure is the elixir of life. Birth and sex are pleasure to an extreme, since both are founded in the fountain of heavenly sustenance. Each time man and woman have sex, something is born. When man and man have sex, nothing is born. not physical, not spiritual. But love lives engraved in the heavenly firmament forever. Other than Jewish men, sex is permitted along with all other types of sexual expression. Women with other women are completely exempt from any law since what they do is not deemed sexual. History is laden with mistakes strewn about in examples of human dictates upsetting the natural order of things. Since science and religion are major polluters of truth, both are guilty of the same crime, making assumptions based on spurious fact. Everything in existence exists because the Creator is constantly creating. Since the nature of creation is not to be, creation needs to be brought out of nothing into something moment by moment. Without constant maintenance, all of existence would fall back into the abyss of oblivion. This concept of constant creation can be seen in the sine wave. Crossing the 0 point relegates the engine. Crossing the 0 point relegates the energy into nothing, from where a new wave begins in the opposite direction. For this reason, the 26,000 year Mayan calendar is divided into 13,000 year cycles. Energized by the Creator, a step ahead of the past, the burgeoning future accomplishes the feat of motion as measured by time. Nonetheless, nothingness is where God inserts the dot of life to bring about the next half cycle of the circle, displaced by the movement of time, thus causing motion to occur in the form of the sine wave. All life moves with the same rhythm modulated by the human being applying their free will to each and every atom in the body to do an action upon the earth. What the human being engraves into the earth is also written in heaven, each person inscribed into the book of life. The Roman calendar treats life as if time is a straight line extending into infinity. But this assumption is blatantly wrong, as seen by the spiraling time cycles in the ancient calendars with exact beginnings and exact ends. Like the Hebrew and Mayan calendars, time cycles. By synchronizing these three calendars, particularly around the half-life of carbon-14 at the end of the 60s, in 5,730 years, 1970, brings clarity to the world consumed by unfounded, errant assumptions. Science looks upon creation with incremental vision, following the line extending until achieving atrophy, since all lines must end. However, the circle in the cycle of life never ends, just keeps getting closer to the source, this creator of creation, the cyclical nature of our planet, like the cyclical nature of woman, is tethered to the moon. Man's arc is much wider going around the sun. The male linear line of life is coming to conclusion as the transformation between the line of incremental thinking dissolves into the circle where the 1,000 years of woman and peace resides. When the line and the circle combine into one, a spiral is momentarily manufactured. The spiral of life is found everywhere, from the solar system to the galaxies, from the plants to the DNA. Everything cycles, including time. Therefore, history also cycles, forced into allotted confines. of duration, a story divided up into chapters. An illustration of the cyclical way of viewing history is the ancient 6,000 year calendar, prototype to the 6,000 years of human history upon planet Earth. Each 1,000 year is an individual circle of the time coming to climax around the number 666, the orgasm in each 1,000 year segment. In the first 1,000 year segmentation, corresponding to the attribute of chesed, kindness, the human being lived to 1,000 years. Plus, life abounded everywhere on the earth, exemplifying this first attribute of kindness. However, on the second 1,000 year segment, the attribute of Gevurah, severity, at the juncture of 1666, came the great flood and destroyed all life, with the exception of Noah and his 3 sons and their wives, plus 2 of each animal, is not to lose the genetic code to life. The third 1,000 year period begins with Abraham coming to the earth from the Tower of Babel in the year 2000, starting the 2,000 years of teaching when amazing spiritual teachers descend to the earth, seated throughout the globe. At the end of these 2,000 years of teaching, precisely 120 years before the scheduled end of Rome destroys the last hope of the future in Israel, then sends the Jewish people to be exiled into every part of the world. The 1,000 years of Hod retreat begins with the Catholic Church and their crusades into the Middle East, ending with the Black Plague, which wiped out as many Christians as the crusade had laid waste to the Muslims and Jews. The Jews in between Islam and Christianity were lost in the exile, wearing black, studying Torah, making communities around the world tied together by the oral Torah, having been written down at the advent of the exile. Great teachers, geniuses, arose, squeezing new knowledge from the old words because the cauldron of life made them sweet, producing this new knowledge from each generation according to the time ticking away the years until the new age would arrive. We are presently 780 years into that new age, celebrated at the inception as the Renaissance, also known according to the Tree of Life as the time of Yesod, foundation, from the word sod, secret, when all the secrets of creation are being revealed. The Zohar, brilliance, is the greater light coming forth from the darkness. Written by a Talmudic figure 2,000 years ago, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai channeled his teaching to the earth 700 years ago, 1,000 years prior to merging into the 1,000 years of woman and peace. The Zohar is meant for the end of days, meaning the end of the 6,000 year male agenda. Yet this obscure text, written in ancient Aramaic and Hebrew, even deciphered into the modern language, still remains abstruse. However, over the last few centuries, the light from the Zohar has penetrated into the minds of men. A few centuries after the initial writing of the Zohar in Spain, the Ari came to the town of Sfat in northern Israel, taught for 3 years, then died a young man but his scribe, Chaim Vital, wrote 13 books attributed to his master's words, known to the world as Kabbalah, receive. The most feminine of all the teachings, the elevated words of the Kabbalah were assimilated into Europe, where great hidden masters of the name transmitted the secret and deep knowledge to the simple people by means of metaphor and stories known as Chassidut. After 10 generations, the Zohar is now available to all peoples in various languages. Up until now, the Zohar remains aloof, unpredictable, and inexplicable. The question is, why was the Zohar written for this time, just prior to the advent of the 1,000 years of woman and peace? And there you got chapter 3. So I hope you're enjoying this, and I'm certainly happy to take any questions. We've got a few minutes left here. Sometimes I just get carried away by my own stuff there. And, you know, this book, the two books, Sex and Metaphor to History and Zohar, Beyond the Black Hole. So one was written in September, was published in September of 2020. And then after that, I also got COVID, got it in my head. Thank God, not in my lungs. Made me feel like, you know, my brain had finished. It was all right, I'd finished the book, but then I got better. Not only did I get better, I got better than I was before. And I asked the doctor about that, and he says, yeah, sometimes that happens. You know, you get one of these viruses, makes you feel better than before you had it. So I guess I kind of lucked out like that. But for 2 or 3 months or so, I was like wandering around, couldn't remember anything, man. So one thing I've learned, being, you know, living by myself, that it's extremely important, you know, to put everything in its place. Because if you don't put the thing in its place, man, you'll never remember where you put it. And, you know, even now, I have a cup I usually drink coffee out of, and I got up in the morning, my cup wasn't there. I couldn't figure out who took my cup. Who can take my cup? I mean, you know, who's going to come and take my cup? I finally found it in the refrigerator. Put some food in and put it in the refrigerator. And that's without having anything. I'm glad you liked it, Carol. I liked reading it. And so here we are at the end of the time. I don't know why. I just feel like I should finish, 30 minutes. Maybe I got something else to say. But I can always tell you to please go to my website, dovidhouse.com. Get ready. My book is coming out. This is just a mind-blowing book, the Zohar book. The other one is being republished through Ingram Spark, so I can get it into libraries and bookstores. And yeah, so, you know, please go to my website. And in a couple of weeks, the books will be available. And I'm going to start blogging more. So there'll be more things to do on my website and more information available. And this is like the big push. So anyone who would like to help push, welcome aboard. All right, I got a minute. Long enough to say that 420 is the gematria of Ashan. Ashan is made of 3 letters, Ayin, Shin, Nun. The Ayin stands for Olam, the Shin stands for Shana, time, and the Nun stands for Nefesh, soul. And it makes the word Ashan, which is smoke. And that's why 420 is just the right time to smoke. No one knows why, but I know why. Because it's gematria Ashan. So have a nice rest of the day. And if you're not high, get high. All right. Bye-bye. Hmm.